Hey guys, welcome back. This is 2024. Welcome back to Landscaping to the Point. This is our first podcast of 2024. If you haven't watched us, go find us on Spotify, find us on YouTube at Landscaping to the Point or Landscapes by Acme. We are live right now on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and you can re-listen to us on Spotify. So thanks for listening in, guys. Welcome back, Josh and JC, my great friends and hosts. What's going on?
What's happening,
Alex
everyone?
Carey joined by Instagram. What's up, Alex? So it's new year. Josh has been probably buried under white gold for the last time, and it's not stuff that he sells. It's actually stuff that he plows. So what's going on with you guys?
It's been a while since we've been on, so we're starting off with shenanigans already.
Oh, I know we are. It's a good thing, right? I mean, Josh looks like a ghost, and pushing that white gold. So
Since
it's been an interesting year.
Quiet.
He is quiet. He is very quiet. He must have blanked himself out. He doesn't want to talk.
I'm trying to connect my earbuds, and I can't multitask with my eyes and my brain right now. So I'm trying to hyper focus on doing this. It won't work. Anxiety's kicking in before someone asks me a question. Like, come on, connect. Dude, we haven't been on here since, well, at least I haven't been on since, I think, before Christmas.
Yeah. You didn't show up to our fun show where there was like 5 of us, but
I tried logging. I tried watching a little bit on YouTube. I think Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, whatever it was. And then, dude. No, I had family over for the holidays, and then I think when we were gonna jump on, I think you and I both had snow on the same weekends. We got like 15 and a half inches up here on the first one, and then we had like a drawn out 3.5 inches a week and a half ago. So that took up most of my weekends. Yeah, it was like 14 hours for 3.5 inches. And then like freezing rain right after. So anything that had a little bit of pack was just like sheer sheet of ice.
Wow. That's just amazing. Like 15 inches, man. We haven't even hit like 5 inches for the whole year so far this season.
Bro, we don't even, that's not normal anymore in this part of New England. I think 2 years ago we got 14, and a lot of that was because of wind drifts and stuff. But to start the year off with 15, you typically at least Boston, North and West, the winter start usually the last week of January and then go on to about maybe the first week of March, and you might see like an 8 or a 10 incher, but the 15 inches that's not really common anymore.
That was more than expected, I think, from what we were projecting to get. It came down. And Josh will tell you, at least around our ways, like the way that the roads and the salt trucks, they didn't do anything to prepare for what we had.
Horrible.
Yeah, that's like our area. I mean, we got that first storm last weekend, and literally it snowed, then it rained, then it went back to snow, and literally everything froze within like 5 hours. And it literally, a lot of the roads are still like barely untouched because it's sheeted ice still.
Even today,
I'm glad that we're going to get some more weather, that it's going to drop it to where we can be able to go out. And we have some city sidewalks we haven't even touched yet, and they've already contacted us and want to fine us for it. So it's like, and ain't much we can do when it's all pushed up snow, and you got 10 inches of frozen ice, But yeah, so it's been frigid cold by you guys just as well as us.
Yeah, I think yesterday the lowest was like 7 degrees. At least that's what I read on my thermometer.
Wow.
In my car, it was like 7, and I don't know what it is this morning. Today it might be a little warmer because the sun's out.
9-10 degrees with a real feel of -3.
Wow. Yeah. I think we had a negative 27 one day because of the wind, because of the feel. Yeah. But yeah, it's just been ridiculous. I'm waiting for this. But
I'm ready.
Josh, have you been salting like nonstop because of this?
Actually, you know what? I didn't think we were, but we ran out of our first 30 yards already, which I I wasn't really happy about. But we don't have a lot of variable accounts for salting this year. But yeah, we had to bring in another trailer load. To hopefully get through the rest of the season, but we'll see. But yeah, that first one, because that ran from like Saturday at midnight up until Monday. Well, we'll say like Sunday, probably like 8-9 o'clock. We were hitting with salt just to try to stay ahead of it. And then this last one, it was 3.5 inches. We tried burying it in salt, and then we had to because of the amount of ice over at the end. I mean, as much as you want to try. I mean, we have some sites where we have to use rubber edges, and with the rubber edges, you guys are familiar with that they create pack. It's not like having that carbine edge or that steel edge. So, we go over, we try to clean them up with the plow as best we can, but then. Just to be cautious, especially on a zero tolerance site. I mean, I'll bury a site. I will bury a site in salt just to know that we're covered. Cover our asses. Get out of here.
Yeah, jeez, yeah. I feel like we put a lot more salt this year down in anything. I mean, literally for the last week we've been salting every day. We haven't been getting much, but it's like it's getting that ice off and just. We're getting a little bit of a trace every day this last week, and till Friday, we actually got a good 3 inches. So it actually, everything that was salted, it cleared off real quick when we plowed it. So it was actually a nice push instead of having that little resistance left over on everything. So that was good.
I'm ready for the spring already.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm definitely ready for the spring. I don't know about you, but yeah, I'm ready to actually get out and do stuff. I mean, we were actually doing some fence work, and then we actually had to stop. So we have a whole bunch of fence pickets in our trailer frozen to our dump trailer. So I'd love to get out and finish them couple jobs instead of waiting around. I mean, that's a good thing to be able to start your spring out early and not have to wait around. I'm assuming Josh would love to start digging and putting in patios in freaking February.
Yeah, he's trying to sell me on one for myself.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, if you want to travel, I'll let you come do mine. I'll give you room and board and food, and
I might take him up on that just because he has good ideas.
Yeah. I mean, I'll show you where the corn gets, grown, and then you can, put up a patio.
It's funny when we were leaving Chicago and we were like, still in the takeoff phase. I was taking pictures of the cornfields when I was going. I meant to like tag you on them, post them on like, hey, look, Scott's here with an arrow. I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, man, I love to get digging. I mean, I'll be honest with you, like this year we don't have a lot of per push and per application accounts. So I mean, we get paid this year whether it snows or not. So a lot of it is just money management and like allocating funds for the right departments and areas. But yeah, I'd like to get moving with it. I'm not going to say that I'm a little nervous about the upcoming year, the upcoming season. I feel like the end of the year, or let's say from like July over for me last year, is usually when we get like a bulk of the calls for construction. Last year it seemed very light. Now I don't know if that's due to people finally being able to take unrestricted vacations. People that would typically the years prior with COVID and post-COVID up to like 22. They couldn't take their Italy trips or their overseas trips or whatnot, or even their domestic trips without some sort of restriction. And that's why a lot of people dumped money into, their home. They could hang out at the home and they could spend time with their families there. I feel like people are going to either not have the money moving forward. I know I read something the other day where what I thought was going to happen last year happened this year, and credit card debt is like an all-time high right now. Is that going to be like, the pin in the balloon? And things are going to kind of shut down. So we're starting to pivot a little, to go based off my paranoia, which hopefully I'm wrong. We do have a few things lined up for the spring. And I've already had a couple that are kind of like slowly trying to tiptoe out of it. So I am curious to see what it brings, but I'm not going to lie and say I'm not a little nervous to see if things slow down.
Yeah, I feel like, a lot more people now. I think, like you said, people are starting to back off on wanting to get extra things and stuff and do extra trips and stuff. So, I think this year is going to be a very interesting year when it comes to extra outdoor spaces and stuff like that. especially your type of business.
See, I'm going to call BS on what Josh said because he's saying that after July, he's going to be so busy that he's not going to be able to go to the expo this year.
That's what he's trying to say. Yeah,
He's already lining it up.
Dude, you're coming. I mean, no matter what, you're coming. We're gonna figure out how to get you there.
I really am gonna try. There's a few people I like to link up with them in person and honestly just check out some of the equipment. I actually watched some of the videos from people this year, like random people on YouTube this year, and I think it'd be interesting to try out.
Yeah, it'd actually be nice to get you out there. Okay, over on Instagram, Pablo says it's 34 in his area. He had to put
Pablo's
some
in Florida,
salt out on. Yeah, he was in Orlando. Yeah.
It gets down to the 30s in Florida. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he said he's got 34 down there. Well, Alabama, where Eli's at, Eli had a couple inches of snow twice this week. So
that's because he's inside of a Dairy Queen right now. That's why it's 34.
Yeah,
he's in the walk-in refrigerator and he's saying it's cold in Florida.
Right. And then Alex said he had damages, rainstorms, and he's got flooding right now. So that's kind of weird.
I actually got a question for Alex. I know he's probably watching either on Instagram or something, but with
he's on Instagram.
All the snow that we've had in our area, he's gotten it too, and he just started getting into the septic business. Is he having issues with like over flooding or like septic systems like freezing because the rain and the snow and all that? Like, any issues during the wintertime with that? See what he says on the chat.
Yeah, I would be interested. He says no right now. Last week, no, not right now. Right now, I guess. But it was 5 degrees. That would be interesting because I have heard, especially when we did our septic in our yard, the guy said to make sure that it was in the ground a certain amount because he's seen them float, and that's what I would always wonder. Especially with him doing septics too. I mean, we're an installer ourselves, but we don't do any of the extra stuff. And I know he does everything. So that would be interesting to actually know, like, if he's seen any float, yes, especially with all this flooding going on over there.
When he says last week, so we had that 15 inches, and then that following Wednesday we were 50 degrees. So Alex, were you seeing things starting to, kind of press up last Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday after that big storm? I think you guys got the. I think they got
I flushed my toilet the other day, and I was just kind of like there wasn't a lot of pressure going down, man. I don't know. I got a septic system too, but it's fairly new.
He says no freeze issues with septics or drainage, just overflow. Groundwater table was high enough. He had a few calls about water pouring through the walls.
That's a bad day.
Yeah. I would hate the water pouring through walls, dude.
We got a few calls on foundation leaks and stuff, but we're still waiting to hear back. There were emergency calls with people, so I don't think we got them. We bid them a little high, just because everything's friggin' frozen. It's going to take an arm and a leg to get things excavated out.
Right. Now, any of you guys do insurance work? Do you guys do to where if an insurance company calls you, you go out and do that stuff, Josh?
If they call, but I mean, obviously, in insurance work is it's going to be a bit cheaper. They're going by whatever their market rates are for it. So we've done insurance jobs, but it's not something I chase.
Right. Yeah. Alex says yes, he does. So that's a good thing. I mean, I do see that. We used to do a lot of cleanup of trees when damage comes through for our insurance company, but most of the time we just deal with just the normal stuff and whatever our realtor gives us. So, so is there this is a good question for you guys. This year, is there any side hustles that you're trying to work on? I mean, I know JC is trying to get his OnlyFans bit past 100 people that follow him. So, I mean,
I'm trying to do some OnlyFans collaborations.
Ooh, that would be nice. Yeah. Josh, you gonna do some side hustle OnlyFans too, or
I'm not collaborating with anybody? Side hustles, not really. No, I mean, my focus is like I said, we're pivoting the business a little bit. So, the whole model kind of changed with what we're doing. I like to deep digger into my real estate, deep digger and digger, deep dig deeper. Excuse me, into my real estate stuff. So we'll see what happens with that too. I mean, obviously the market, the interest rates, and everything, and hard money isn't really where it needs to be for me. But the focus is really on the business and try to grow that in the new model.
Nicholas.
Right. So, okay, here we go. Here's a good question for you. How much real estate do you have invested in?
It's I don't have holds right now. So what we've done in the past is wholesaling. So
Okay.
what we do is we'll go around, you find distressed properties, or you find people that are like for sale by owner. Essentially, it's like a cash for keys type thing. You go in, and no matter how distressed the property is, we grab it, we pick it up. When we pick it up, it's essentially like a paper transfer. We don't do anything to it. We don't touch it. We don't cut the grass. We don't do nothing. We find investors, whether it's like a bigger pocket or we buy houses type things, or sometimes there's realtors out here that'll do it. And we're not selling it for market value, making hundreds of thousands on it, but we might find someone to be able to make $20,000, $40,000, $60,000 maybe up, and it's a lot quicker. You're not putting a lot of investment. So I like to go into the deeper way. I'm not really into the flipping, but I'd like to get some multi units where I live now.
So some fresh paint, clean it up, make it look nice, and kind of try to get a little more for it.
Well, we don't do any of that.
No.
We literally, like, you're behind on your mortgage, or you're about to be foreclosed on. We give you the cash to cover that. We sell it to the person. We don't do shit. We won't even. We've had times we won't even walk in the house. It's literally just a paper transfer. We grab it and we sign it over to you. We've had times where if it's done in mass, we can literally just take your title and deed and pass it over to the other person and avoid that transfer tax. From a third party. So no, we don't do anything. That's more of like a baby flip, which you're mentioning, but we don't do nothing. That's up to the investor that would buy it off us to go in and decide what they want to do. We're literally, it's almost like a finder's fee, and we're just trying to grab it and transfer it. But a finder's fee pays less than that. So we go in and we can make some decent coin.
Pablo said he'd like to learn more about that, Josh. So I mean, definitely probably should reach out to Pablo about that. I mean, I wouldn't mind buying like apartment complex and kind of fixing it up and just turn around and use it as rental property.
That's essentially what I'm trying to go after. I want to get a triple decker, and then it's funny because there's actually few in the city here, and they were kind of distressed, and that's like at first it got my attention, but then when you started looking at the details, it was just the investment was way too much. I'd probably have to take hard money on it. I don't think that a bank would finance it just because the condition
Josh,
of the property is in. Yeah,
you're gonna have to explain to the people what a triple decker is. I don't think a lot of people know that term.
I think people think when they're talking triple decker or something weird.
Triple decker is a 3-family house of apartments. So it's 3 apartments stacked on top of each other. So like if you ever seen like Chicago, New York, Boston in the movies, you have the houses with 3 floors, and it's 3 different apartments. It's what we call a triple decker.
Why not a 4-decker?
Quadruple decker doesn't sound right.
I've only seen 2-deckers. Very rare. There are 2-deckers in the city. And
Okay.
I grew up in a 3-decker on the 3rd floor.
Yeah, same here. Until I moved to the suburbs in my last apartment, I was in triple deckers my entire life.
That's like my dad would go downstairs and he'd forget his car keys, and we'd have to throw him out the window so he could
Off the porch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see duplexes. I mean, there's a lot of duplexes. Pablo says he's got a lot around him. There's a lot of duplexes around us too. So
Pablo's in that. If you're saying he's in Orlando, Pablo's in an area where like sometimes a buy and hold would be great. Like if you have the money for it, and you could Airbnb stuff for people going to Disney or any of those amusement parks. So that could be big money. But again, I mean, with that, I mean, you're dealing with hundreds of people per year going into the apartment. I mean, I guess if you were to do it and you price it right and you hire a property management company to deal with it, it wouldn't be too bad.
I've heard that there's been problems with people that have Airbnbs where they're running into the issue of squatters. Like people will go in, they'll rent it for a week, and then they just won't leave. And it's like a huge legal battle if you don't have your stuff in order to get those people out.
Yeah, so I've read on that before, and I feel like those are the people that don't want to pay the money. Like we've talked here on business, it's But let's say the fee for an attorney is $400 an hour. You know, you go in there with as much paperwork as you can for that hour. Just spend the $400 to have things documented, so you know. And then that's where like hiring a cleaner to go by after each one, or hiring a property management company. I mean, shit, you need someone to cut the grass no matter where you are. You have, you know, you got your lawn care company. You know, can you peek in the window and make sure that nobody's, you know, living there?
Well, see, that's why if Pablo did it, I mean, he could just go in and every week he's mowing it, he could just check in on it. See,
Sure.
I mean, you know, I mean, that's a good thing if you're the landlord or the owner of the house and your Airbnb in it, and you're doing landscaping for it or mowing. You know, I mean, you could go in there and check on it on a nonstop basis. You know, but yeah, I think that's one of the things that, like you said, you still would have to hire a property manager to kind of oversee it and make sure that it's getting cleaned and all that stuff too. Otherwise, I think that's more work on you in the long run.
What other businesses do you guys think or may have had ideas on to get into outside of the landscape business? Like, is this something that you guys are aiming to do like this year or maybe in the future? I know we talked about real estate, but like other, like on the other side of the spectrum type of businesses.
I've always wanted to sell a product. Like I've always wanted to have a product, and that's not necessarily something I invented, but it's something that stands out. I don't know what yet, but it's in the back of my head where I've always wanted to have something. Like maybe you buy a patent off somebody and you know they can't push it and you can. You know, I'm not a big reinvent the wheel person and trying to sit here for 20 years and come up with some invention for a contractor or whatnot. But if I could find someone that just couldn't get their product off the ground and take it and use marketing abilities and strategies and make money, I'd like to do that.
Interesting, very interesting. Me, I've kind of been dabbling in different things left and right. I would probably like to start a book, write a book, put all my experiences in it for, you know, other landscapers. I mean, I'm not trying to make $1 million like some of these lawn influencers that are, you know, that's all they want to do is sell you book after book after book. But, you know, I just want to put my experiences in there just so that way, you know, they know what to do, you know. So
I don't know, maybe it's me, maybe it's just the way I see things, but I think the lawn care community online, like the influencers and all that stuff, has died down. Like the interest for it has died down. Like I feel like at some point it was trending on an upward scale, and then just it hit a plateau now. Yeah. And I think that that those people who are, you know, the influencers of the industry are really trying hard to kind of gain control of their followers and hold on to them, because there's so many other new people coming into it now. But at the same sense, it's like, all right, it was a little trendy at a point. Everybody was kind of getting to know everybody. Everybody was kind of interacting with each other. And then it hit that little bit of a plateau. But I mean, obviously it's still strong.
Right.
But I think it's kind of
I don't think it's strong. I think it's strong if you're 14 to 15 years old and you're getting into it and you're looking for someone to look up to. Like, no, honestly, and I agree with you 100%. I think it has died down, but I think it comes two ways, where people have either realized, you know, they're buying into some bullshit, or you kind of used up your demographic, where, like, you know, I think a lot of your demographic would be people that were like 1 to 2 years in business and maybe lost, or 3 to 4 years in the business and couldn't get over the hump. And either they utilize your information and you know, they went as far as it can go. Or, you know, they decided the industry wasn't for them and they got out. I mean, I feel like that's across the board with a lot of influencers. Like, I'm sure like the makeup industry, which was a major influencer marketing industry, had died down. You know, I'm seeing a lot of like the plumbers and the electricians, like the union tradesmen starting to come out now.
It's weird because when I came to it, it was around like 2016, and it was maybe 2 or 3 top guys in the industry, right? And then for the most part, I remember just people were just trying to get to know each other and like, oh, hey, cool, support my page to support yours, and like you're interacting and making connections and all that stuff. And I don't see that anymore. All I see is, like Paul Mara said in the comments there, it become too commercial. Like, now everybody has a product to sell.
Right.
Everybody wants to be motivational speaker. Everybody wants to sell you this plan. Everybody is wanting to be sponsored by a company to promote their stuff. So it's like it's less of that organic community and more of that, commercialized industry. And I think a lot of people have been turned. Even me, I've been turned off about it
Right.
for a while now.
The motivational speaking, I never understood. I get like the whole influencer thing because it's like you're on social media, and if you're a good content creator and you're catchy and you have bells and whistles, like you're gonna get attention. That's just what it is. But like the motivational speaking, like you got someone like Paul here, right? Paul has been in the industry since before I was born, right? Probably Scott too. But I get going to, and I get that times are different, like generations are different. Like Paul's, I don't want to say his prime in this industry was way before me, but they still carry over. Like I want to hear from someone that's been through it, who's maybe failed, got back up on the horse, done it again, versus a guy that's been in it for 4 or 5 years. Where I'm not saying you can't be successful in 4 or 5 years, but you may not have dealt with those failures and those tribulations that come with owning a business. Like we know that like you have that 4 or 5 year hump. What about that 10-year hump? What about that 20-year hump? What about when you get to the point where you're going, shit, maybe I didn't save enough for retirement. I'm too old to go into the union. I'm too old to get like a prevailing wage job or something. Like I want to hear from those guys. So hearing it from like a younger person, it is motivational to know like, hey, I'm 25 years old. This guy's doing it. He's hustling. He's grinding. I can do it too. It gives you that hump, but you can't base your whole model off someone online, because you don't know this person's story. If they had help, if they have, they live at home with mom and dad and they have someone babysitting their kids, or, their spouse works a job that's like $150,000 a year. And what you're bringing in is just pocket cash and BAM money. And then you can grow off that. So like, I'd want to see someone that not so much social proof, but that's been through it and has lived through it. I have a guy that I chat with that, he started in business the year before I was born. And he's, when you say there's no money in lawn care, this guy's run a very successful business, and granted, it's not his only money stream. He's big into real estate, and I've tried to get him to come on like the Echo Means Business podcast when we had it, and he came on once, and he shared some real insightful information. People listened and realized how sincere it was, and I think that's a big part of why people listen when Paul Kamara talks, because he's fucking lived it, dude. Like he's went through it. These guys have actually done it. It's not like a 5 or 6 year, 7 year stint. Like, listen, I can sit there and give you all the information I want. I still haven't gone through everything I'm going to go through as a business owner.
Right. I mean, yeah, I look more up to like Paul, older people that have been in the business over years, over someone, that, like you said, that has just only been in it 4 or 5 years, even 6, 7 years, that, they might not have hit that turning point where they're like, I mean, I've been in that point where, I'm like, shit, do I want to keep doing this stuff? And, because of shit going bad or whatever, some of these guys don't have that point, and especially these influencers that are promoting this stuff, they're getting products thrown at them. So they've not gone through that area where you're like, am I going to make payroll? Am I going to be able to pay the equipment fees? All this other shit on a normal basis, so there's a lot there. I think looking into people that have been in it for years and not commercialized, not, an influencer per se. So.
Well, it's like they sell you that instant gratification, right? They want to tell you like, this is how you make your money. This is how you increase your profits. This is how you get more customers, like that now that everybody wants to deal with at that moment.
Right.
But no one is teaching anybody what to do with your profits, how to manage your money, how to budget your stuff, how to invest in new equipment, like where to put your money, where to spread your money out. Like they're not showing any of that stuff. They're just showing you what. How to get those customers right then and there. Right. And then even, I think if someone kind of separated that whole business side of things and talked about, all right, this is what you do, your profits, this is where you allocate money. This is what you invest in for more equipment. This is what you dedicate to pay, I don't know, or customers or more employees or equipment, just all that stuff.
Yeah.
But no one really talks about that because they want that instant gratification.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to agree with you in part of that, and I hope people listen to them realize. And we've talked about this on different platforms before. You don't go to an influencer for that. Like your car's broken, you go to a mechanic. You're not feeling good, you go to a doctor. You need money advice, you go to an accountant. You need legal advice, you go to a lawyer. There's like a guy that's mowing lawns and bells and whistles. might know how to start an LLC or know how to allocate money, but it's not what he does for a profession. An accountant does that. So there's people that are specifically their careers are based off that, and I think you're right. I think like some guys should, and I think some guys do. I think Stanley Dirt Monkey has been pretty straightforward with that, with like, hire an accountant, that's your go-to. But no, I agree with that. It's more, it should be less bells and whistles of like, like, listen, I like that guy, Tigran.
Mike Andes.
Tigran.
I like Mike Andes too. I do, but no, Tigran, the kid from California,
Right?
he's like a Grant Cardone guy, but dude, like he's entertaining. But again, he's just like spend the money, the debt, and he doesn't show how it's allocated or where like positive debt or negative debt. Mike Andes is a different platform where I believe he's like less debt, don't carry any negative debt. There's no such thing as positive debt, but he actually breaks it down. So I do like his model.
Yeah, definitely. So
I will say too, I bought a Voss BVX 9000 Salter. I've never used Boss anything except for the Snow Raiders. So I'm going on Instagram and I'm typing in VBX 9000 and just trying to get some details because there's adjustments that I can't figure out how to make. So I'm trying to see, sometimes you can have it on there. So I go on YouTube, right? And I've never watched this stuff, but Spencer's Lawn Care.
Okay.
Right. This is one of the guys that I've kind of not a hater, but I'm kind of like
one of your buddies. Come on.
I've never met the guy in my life. I've never have. I know he says my wife do. But bro, like I know I've shit on these guys. So I go on, and the information I'm looking for is not really in there. He has a VBX Salter, pretty new. And I start reading the comments. Bro, holy shit, dude. People are fucking harsh, dude. Holy crap. Like, I'm like, people get like mean, like high school bully mean, man. I was like, I kind of felt bad. I was like, I know I talk my shit on influencers or social media personalities, but damn, man, some of you guys need to cool off. Like, damn.
People go hard on some of these guys, dude. And
holy shit, like you think they'd like punch their baby in the face or something? Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, like really going hard. And I'm like, damn, like
so Pablo says what he'd like to get into would be buy a bar with food and stage to have a comedy and other shows that's what he wants to invest in.
Oh, we got to get him on.
Yeah,
we got to get him on and see if he knows how to do stand-up comedy.
So, I want to listen to him. But he said it'd be like a fancy bar. So, there you go. That'd be like something, high class.
What about a food truck?
Don says he'd like to invest in some other projects outside of the industry. So I'd like to see what Don would invest in. But yeah, and then Don also said, Josh, you should sell your accent. Figure out how to sell your accent. That's what you got to do.
Jesus Christ. You know what? My buddy does voiceovers. It's one of his things. And I got so annoyed because he did something for Pro Pots Direct a few years ago. And this guy, Robbie Miggs, if he's listening, he's from Manchester, New Hampshire. And he doesn't have an accent whatsoever. You would have thought that this guy's from Cali or Florida or something. And he shows me the clip, and it's him doing a Boston accent. I'm like, why the fuck wouldn't you just call me to do it, man? I'm like, Jesus Christ. It was one of those, it's wicked cool, guy. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I'm probably one of the few Bostonians. Well, I'm not a Bostonian anymore, per se, but that doesn't use the word wicked. I don't say wicked.
Boston.
Yeah, I don't say wicked.
Oh, yes.
Hey, Josh, did you see that video I sent you on Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know what we would like to do. So is there anything, one big accomplishment that you want to do? I know me and JC talked a little bit about this last time we were on. Paul said he's working on a small nursery and material dispenser. That's very good. That's good, Paul. Actually, we just my wife opened up a nursery type flower business last year, and we expanded on it at our shop. So I am a licensed nursery dealer also this year already. So that's definitely something that we're looking to expand also. So that'd be cool. Good luck, Paul. What big accomplishment, Josh, would you like to accomplish this year, business-wise? I know me and JC talked about it last time.
What
big
accomplishment in my current business?
Yeah, your current business.
Well, again, I mean, I don't want to lose money. I mean, that's the big
Well,
thing.
yeah, I don't think
So
anybody
again,
wants to lose money. I mean, that's money's the main thing. I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, especially with economy. I think economy can always factor in how everything plays out, especially like your type of business where you're, and even mine, where it's more landscaping, you do hardscaping more. It's more of like, is that person going to want to pay for that service? You know, the way the
yeah.
economy
So
goes.
I try to, for me personally, when I say this, I try to be realistic to myself where like I don't get these over the top goals. I try to make these small goals throughout the year that I think are reachable and achievable. As far as like big goals, I mean, I'm investing a lot in other people in my company this year, and I am nervous because I am starting to let go of the reins just a little bit, to try to test the waters. I think a big accomplishment. I think at the end of the year, if I can look and say that I've implemented some systems and processes and adjusted them and have been successful with them. I'm not saying that, the business is that's it. I've done it. But as
Right.
long as when I say successful, I mean like I haven't lost money. We don't have any insurance claims. Like, the turnover rate for employees is low. I think that is being successful. Like I'm running a successful business. So again, like I say, like I've changed the dynamic. I know what I want to do. I have an idea of what my future goal is. But in front of me, yeah, I'd like to see that my systems and processes can be put in place and that I can let go a little bit and manage my business more than being, knees in the ground, hand on the shovel,
Right. Right. I get it. I understand that totally. Definitely. Totally. Awesome.
And that's hard. That's hard.
Oh yeah.
Like that,
It's always
it's hard. It's hard to see something. It's hard to see someone doing something incorrect or not up to your par and not want to jump in and be like, dude, this is how you do it. And I'll just do it my fucking self.
Right. That's the hard thing I think about being the owner and you want it done a certain way is that, you can hire somebody and try to train them and it's hard to say, hey, go ahead and go do this. And then you're like going back and, I think I did it the other day is literally we were out yesterday, just out and about. And I drove by a couple jobs that I had my guy do while I was at the eye doctors. And I was kind of like, oh, well, I would have threw salt down here. I would have did this a little bit differently, but it's like, you gotta trust them and then just kind of go back and say, hey, this is what I would change. I might have did this a little bit differently, but it's hard to make that leap. I mean, especially when I had 4 crews, it was always like, are they mowing their yards the right way? Are they trimming them? Are they edging them? Are they blowing everything off? I was always, it was one of the things I always had my morning meetings and say, make sure you close gates. Cause it was always someone
Yeah.
once a week would always forget to close a gate. And it was like, okay, dude, you got to quit. You got to make sure these gates are closed. You got to you're blowing it off. Why can't you shut the gate? But yeah, it's hard to just be in there and just be like, okay, you got this. I'm just going to try to keep away. But if I see something, I'll let you know.
I've noticed it like this year with the snow. Like obviously we don't have that major account that we've had for a few years, but we actually just added like 7 properties to the portfolio. So I think we're up to about 16 commercial properties we do right now. And what I'm trying to do is I live an hour from where my sites are, 40 minutes to an hour from where my sites are, because it's scattered. And I don't want to drive up there for the small storms. I still do, but I'm not as pressed to go up there. Like this last storm, I went up halfway through the storm. I try to systemize everything so everything is the same per property. It might be a different layout, but it still works the same thing. You're a shoveler, you shovel that thing, you spring a little bit of calcium on that thing. It's calcium or salt, depending on what it calls for, and then you move on. You keep going clockwise. You take your timestamp photo, you go. It's the same thing across the board. I used to be specific, like, hey, this customer wanted this customer wanted this, and sometimes you still have those. But now when I go to these estimates and these consults with these customers, I let them know how we do things and how we implement the systems, and it's catered to make sure that everybody's protected and it disproves for service. So they seem to like that. That's actually how I sold this last portfolio just a couple of days ago. Was I sold them on the system, how we work, what we do. So I'm working more and more on creating these foolproof systems. It's like an assembly line. It's boring as hell, but you know it should be done. And like you said, you in your back of your head, are they blowing off the mulch beds? Are they edging? Are you going to go back and there's like a mohawk along the edge of the landscape beds?
Right.
No, because that's in your system. When you train that person, this is what you do on every property. You're running counterclockwise or whatever you do. I always went counterclockwise with the weed whacking. I think that helps a lot with being able to go back up and go, hey, if you're not doing it, it's because you weren't listening or you were lazy. So which is it?
Right.
Yeah, you're doing it one way, the same way, every single way, every single time.
Which gets boring, but it's foolproof rather than having to go through, a binder and say, okay, Jensen's property, what are we doing here? You can have special requests, but those special requests those are outside of your system. So that's where you're billing for that extra time where it's like, well, Jensen wants the driveway line edge and it's asphalt and it's all jagged up. So, it's going to take you an hour and a half. So, who's paying for that hour and a half? And I think that's where you notice where you're losing some of your money too. Is when you have those systems and it doesn't fall in place for what you do.
Right. I think, you got to have it all. And it's a set way you want it done for everybody. I mean, that's definitely the way it's always been in my business is that we do everybody the same way. Even though someone might come out and say, oh, well, I don't want it edged, once a year or whatever. No, we do it every other week. Like I'm not going to walk away from that and, make yours look like crap because then that's going to make my guys slip and just be like, okay, well, we're not going to do this, so.
Yeah. And again, it's like, Scott, that's your name on the line. If someone walks through and it's like, dude, like, look, the beds are all like, it's just all strandy grass, like laying down. You can't even see the defined edges, like you take pride in your work and you're right. Like at the end of the day, it's your business. It's your company. It's your name. You want to be able to say, hey, we do Joe Schmo's lawn over there. Take a look at that. We do Ann's lawn, we do Dave's lawn, and you become a staple. People know what to look for.
Right. So Paul Camara asks, do you guys think the labor market will start to loosen up? Economy and influx of migrants may affect it?
You think it would help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would think it would. Well, in the Northeast, I don't know about in Ohio. I don't know how many people leaving their countries going, I'm going to go to Ohio.
Actually, we have some of the bigger lawn companies here in our area. I know one of them has 50 guys from, I would say, south of the border that have the green cards. And then I know another one that has like 30. So literally, I know.
So those sound like H-2B visas.
Yeah.
So
yes,
H-2B visas, you get your 30 or 40. They're here for a lot of amount of time. You're responsible for the housing, and then they go back. So like the
that could be more expensive though sometimes for like company owners that have to pay for the house.
Yes and no.
Well, because the one guy I know, the one company, he has enough property. He's got like over 200 acres. He actually put up mobile homes on his property, so that way they, pretty much they're there, rent free. So I mean, they're pretty much all their money they make is for their food, and then they take money back to their families down south.
Again, without getting political, that could be detrimental because he has the opportunity to house those workers in a situation that works for him. But like, let's say
we deal with that right now with two companies. I'm sorry to cut you off, but we deal with that with two companies that are big on H-2Bs with Guatemala, and I've lost plowing accounts to these guys because of that, and it does hurt. It's part of their pay is their housing. So like at the end of the day, their cash value on that, if they're like Scott's guy there, if he owns the properties, it's not costing him anything, and it's a lower hourly rate they actually have to put the dollar figure out for.
Right.
Yeah. And then in another sense too, like if those, it's gonna make for people who are natives in this country, like, is it going to make those workers that are looking for jobs a lot more difficult? You can go back and forth on that a million times, but
again, with you, not getting political, right? But everybody's going to bitch and moan about like the immigrants coming here and taking the jobs and shit. How many qualified fucking applicants are you getting for landscape jobs, right? Let's be truthful. You're getting the addict. You're getting the guy that has 6 months back child support. In an ideal world, you're getting the qualified candidate that probably in 2 or 3 years is going to go open his own company. So you need to be able to juggle issues and possibilities. Now, listen, you get these guys from like, migrant countries, wherever they're from. They come and they work hard. Yeah, some of them, are the same thing. They're assholes, they're pieces of shit, and they can't flow. But I mean, you got to fill, if you're doing it legally, You know, that's the one thing that sucks. First, it's illegal. You're taking advantage of a person, of a human being, by paying them less and doing whatnot. If you got to go through H-2B, but I got no problem. You know, I think that this might help fill in some of these gaps for companies and give people career possibilities. Because right now, you know, I know a buddy of mine. He's gone through 7 guys in a month for snow help, and it's the same thing. Like he had a guy that was an addict, he couldn't do it, was going through withdrawals mid-storm because, you know, the boss was there and he couldn't do anything. You know, you got guys that will leave you for 25 cents an hour, you know, and it's not to sound like a prick or create a stereotype in the industry, but there is a stereotype in the industry with the type of guys we have. You have your Hispanic workers that make up a prominent part of the industry. And, you know, you have your American workers where it's either 80% of management in landscape industry, or it's the labor force that turns around. Like Scott, you can't tell me you can't name at least 5 guys in your area that have worked for like 6 or 7 landscape companies in over 3 years. I mean,
I can name tons of them. I know one that's actually worked for practically almost every company in the area. You know, he literally works there maybe 6 months to a year, and then he's off to another company. You know, and you know, he'll come up with any little excuse he can think of to be like, yeah, I'm gonna go here. You know, and it's not because of money. It's just because he can't stay at one place for that long.
Yeah, it's just people that naturally can't be stable. They just have to constantly. It's like
people
that move around sometimes.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it, but like go the legal route with it. Like you can create, like in your business, if you're like, you know, if you're structured, you can create sponsorships. If you have a guy that's here from another country and is a great worker and wants a career, like you can sponsor someone for citizenship. It's a long road and it's expensive, but it's the same way if you're looking at a guy and you're willing to pay for, you know, certifications and licenses for them. It's the same thing. Like you got to do what you got to do to retain decent employees. And there are people out there that will be grateful for that and loyal to you. And there's people that will take it and run away, you know, regardless of where you're from.
There are also business owners that take advantage of it and hire undocumented and pay shit. And
what are they going to do about it too? There's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, it sucks because, like, you know, like you're paying a guy nothing, you know, and getting work out of them. It's kind of shitty.
Right. So I'd like to say that I hope it helps, and I hope it helps in a positive way, you know, and I hope people don't take advantage. I hope, you know, employees don't take advantage of opportunities, and employers, like Jinton said, don't take advantage of people, you know, fucked up.
Right. Yeah. So do you see younger people getting back into the labor force, or I see a lot more in our area, a lot more older guys that literally may have retired from somewhere that are looking for or are at that point where they want to change careers, that are looking for work and they're actually dedicated to do the work and actually stay that 40 hours compared to the younger guys that are like, oh, okay, I'm going to work here for a year and then I'm going to go somewhere else.
It's kind of like Josh says all the time. This is the easiest industry to get yourself into. All you need is a few pieces of equipment and the work ethic behind it. And I mean, personally, my perspective on it, I think with today's, like, the way the world is, better soon. But I think you're getting a diverse mix of different people. You have older people that are on the verge of retirement that want to get into the business. You have young people that are trying to make a buck to get into the business. You have people that wouldn't normally get into business. More women in the field, right? People that have never ventured in it before, starting to kind of get into it. So, I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen all of a sudden, like directly, like in one shot, but I think it's kind of building up to that point.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up an unpopular opinion about this, and I think that, well, it can be a good paying industry for people,
right?
But at the end of the day, it's hard work, man. It's hard work, and it's not really an old man's game. And by old man, I mean, I think once you get like mid-30s, like, you know, your body, if you're doing this for a career and you haven't gone to management, your body starts shutting down. Right. I think not necessarily full throttle, but I think there needs to be some sort of organization in labor. Here we go. There needs to be some sort of organization. Now, I'm not saying union, but I think there does have to be something that backs laborers. It's fucking hard work, man. And a lot of guys get taken advantage of, and it's really hard to, you know, make ends meet. And then, you know, if you got to go work a second job after working, you know, 8 to 12 hours, you know, shoveling the trench or whatnot, it's tough. I mean, you want to professionalize an industry. I mean, you have to make career positions out of this. And unfortunately, you need laborers. So I think you need to organize somehow and get together with the majority and figure out how you can make it a career position where someone can come in here and say, hey, I can retire, at 70 years old or 65 or whatever it is now. I think right now it's just loose and it's up in the air. You're talking about, hey, I'll go hire this guy from Guatemala. I'll go hire this guy out of the Suboxone clinic right now. I got this guy, I can have him 2 years and I know he's going to go start his own thing because he's a smart guy. And then you got to start over. So like, my model in my company is, the reason for pivoting is I'm trying to create career positions for people to be able to have families and not have to go out and when I say not have to go out and wash dishes or, collect shopping carts to make the difference, and some
Josh,
people because they're not.
How hard is it to find employees that have a diverse background as far as their trade? So like, for example, you're trying to improve your business and you need someone that knows how to do seal coating, or you need someone that knows how to do asphalt. And you don't necessarily do that, but you hire somebody to kind of do things like that. And then you try to build your business around that person to kind of do more jobs like that.
I would want to have the work first. So if I was to bring so instance, like we are looking in that where it's like, there are some things where like maybe we might need to bring a carpenter in like 2 or 3 years, but it's like, can we bring a carpenter in? No, we might have like a job or two. I wouldn't want to have to figure out extra work for just one guy. But if I'm selling the work and I'm subbing it, so that's where subcontracting comes in, where like maybe you subcontract the asphalt and then you realize, hey, I'm doing $100,000, $200,000 worth of asphalt a year. I should be able to bring a guy in for, a base pay of whatever your industry, whatever your area dictates for pay for that. And then you could go, but I would start with the subcontracting and then build off that. Paul said something about prices rising. Now I got a question for Paul. So let's say like average mow cuts right now are $50 to $80, and I think that's pushing it. What were average mow cuts on, like, let's say half an acre, quarter acre back in 92 in the Rhode Island area?
Probably like 10 cents.
But I honestly think they're the same they were back then. I mean, I was too young. I mean, I don't like, just in the time I've been in, I don't see much of a raise. And I think guys are fucking themselves by, COVID was almost the same. See, exactly. So since 1992, guys born in 92 can drink now. Think about that. That they haven't changed, and I knew that was going to be the answer, and that's absurd. So inflation right now, like we talked about this last time, what's a gallon of milk? Like almost $7.
Right.
I went to Shaw Supermarket the other day to just get some odds and ends for the house. It's $160, man. That's insane.
Right.
So if you're doing that and that logic, like after you pay taxes as a sole proprietor, and you're doing like 15, 20 lawns a week, you're like, what are you going to have? You may as well go work for somebody else. You do have to bump them up. And what I was getting at, thank you, was COVID was a blessing in disguise, in the sense that we were able to get out of that 80s and 90s marketing pricing strategy.
Right.
Guys
Some
were
people
starting to make $20-$30 an hour cutting lawn just because it dictated, the demand was there. And like, my buddy that still cuts lawns was charging, I think it was like $110 minimum, which is unheard of. And that in our area, it's definitely flooded, where it's like the average cut was like $40 to $70, $50 to $80, per lawn. And some of them are big and they weren't getting that.
Yeah, look how much of the price of a mower increased from 2019 to 2022. Complete difference. So if the mower is a lot more, why are people charging the exact same thing?
Why would guys who had the opportunity, their prices were up during COVID, and because work started slowing down, they dropped their fucking prices? It's
Right.
insane. Like, why? Like, I know 3 guys in hardscape that went from charging 30 to 35, which is where hardscape should be. It's roughly $6 to $7 per square foot for pavers. Even a cheap fucking paver right now, it's like $5 to $6, and it's probably more than that this year. So how are you going to go back to charging $20 to $25 a square foot? Why would you go backwards? It's insane.
It's not, not gas prices, man. Once prices go up, they should stay up at that point,
Yeah.
But see, it's all these other guys like Joe Schmo that comes in that literally wants to start a business, which is great, but they coming in and they don't know what the pricing is. So they literally drop that price, which then forces other companies to drop their price to actually compete to keep that job. And that's where it's like, it's hard to keep the prices, like Paul said, it was $35 in 2000, and it's the same now. It's just because there's so many people out there that are, it's a couple pieces of equipment to get you, into the business. So that's where you're at, is like every company has to try to compete, but you have to stick with your numbers. And I don't think that, you should drop your numbers just because, some other guy comes in there and says, oh, I'll do it for this. I've seen some of this work. A lot of these guys have seen this work in our area, that other guys are coming in and doing it for less, but they're not doing top-notch work. And customers are now noticing that. And hopefully that'll start changing the way people, realize how these companies are.
You can't go into not that I go to McDonald's. You can't go into McDonald's and buy a meal for under $12 right now. Like, and it was a lot lower than that not too long ago. $6, $7 for a value meal. There's no such thing as a dollar menu anymore. McDonald's prices are not going to drop. Right. McDonald's prices aren't going down from what they are right now. Now, there are things in life that fluctuate depending on the market, fuel, the housing market goes up and down. For the most part, it's staying at that point. And what I'm trying to get to is that there are certain things in life that fluctuate, but when it comes to like the labor work, your cost of equipment, all that stuff, not that I know too much about the business end of that, but you shouldn't be fluctuating your prices, because now your customers gonna be like, well, what the hell? Why'd you charge me $55 last year and you only charged me $40 this year?
Right. Yeah. It's just
like
Paul said, look at the walk behind mowers back then were $1,800, and now it's $20,000 for a walk behind mower. The prices are going up in this stuff. So why you're coming into the business and you're, or lowering your prices to 35, there's no way. You can't pay that payment. You can't pay for that mower again like you used to. You have to have your prices increase, and you have to be at that point. Sometimes you have to say no, like we've all said before, is like sometimes you have to tell a customer, no, I can't do you for $30, $40.
How do you explain that though? How do you explain that to your customers, saying that, last year you charged 55, but this year you're only charging 40 or 35?
Well, I just had that with one of our plow customers. She asked why the price doubled. And I said, well, think about it. Salt's gone up. Insurance has gone up. My labor prices have gone up. It's not just, I'm not the only one out there doing it, and even if I am, I still have equipment, like, to replace. Literally, I had to replace some stuff on my truck that literally 4 years ago cost me $150. Now cost me $500 to get the parts just to fix that plow. So,
but that's easy to justify going up, right. But it's harder to justify from going up
back and down. Yeah. How are you going to justify going back down and then like 2 years later go back up?
Here's what you justify. Let's be real. Nothing any of us do is needed, is done a necessity for a client.
Right.
This is all extra. You don't need someone to cut your lawn. You don't need someone to throw mulch. You don't need someone to trim your bushes. Get what you need to get paid. Like, it's absurd. Like you hire a car detail and then you bitch that they charge $350. You don't need someone to wash your car. Do it yourself if you're gonna cry about it. Send them a plowing. Get out there with a shovel. Get out there with a snowblower. We started telling people the same thing when they would cry about the residential plow when we did it. It's like, you know what? The snowblower is $1,000. Go buy one if you don't want to do it. We're reliable. We show up. It's insane. Like, it really is insane. It's like, listen, I'll tell you one thing, right? You don't see many poor plumbers or electricians, right? Or struggling. You see more struggling and poor or low income landscapers than you do see successful. Like, there are successful guys, but if you put 100,000 of them on the board, I'm gonna say that it's leveling more towards like the low income side.
Right.
Put the fucking pride away and let people know. Like, listen, that's one thing. I'm a big mouth. I know what it is. I get paid when I want to get paid. I'm not gonna do the fucking job. It's like, nothing we do is necessity for these people. Like, it's crazy. And this isn't dogging on homeowners, but it's like, listen, get off your ass and do it yourself. It's like, come on, like, you go, like, it's an like, so some companies call like a spring clean enhancement. It's, you don't need it done.
It's like the housewives that clean the house for their housekeeper to come.
Yeah.
But quick, back on your point with McDonald's, right? You hit it on the nose, JC. McDonald's will never go down in their prices. And guess what? People are
No.
still going to go there. They're trained because if you want the
Right.
food, you're going to go there. If you don't, you cook at your house.
Oh,
My
yeah.
mowing
So true.
prices are $100 per yard minimum. You know what? I'm going to start changing the market. If fucking 15 guys in an area in a small town switch the prices, guess what? Eventually, you're just going to have to pay it if you want to do it. That's just what it is.
So
Yeah, you're going to have
we-
your $20 guy and tip, but
yeah. Oh, yeah. We've had some great talk today, guys. Thanks for being on. Thanks, Instagram, for being on. Everybody on Instagram. Thanks for everybody on YouTube. You had one more comment here, JC. Free samples at YouTube says you're gorgeous. So there you go.
What kind of samples?
I don't know. They want to give you free samples. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'd like to know about more
He's
about this
looking for
company.
collaborators for his private channel. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No, are they asking for free samples?
no, that's their name of their YouTube page is free samples.
the username.
You get a 3-second clip for free. That's about it.
Like the one where you stay down and you
Oh, well, thanks, guys. I think we've touched on a lot of stuff this year. We've touched already this year. I know it's the first episode. I'm drawing a blank, but Josh has touched on a lot. JC has. I have about all kinds of different stuff about your business, just life in general this year. So keep watching us, guys. Keep listening to us. If you missed anything, go back, listen to us on Spotify, rewatch us on YouTube, which is Landscapes by Acme, Landscaping to the Point. You can even see us on Instagram when we're on live. So thank you guys for being on. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, JC. It was always a pleasure to have you guys on. And we'll see you guys next week, everybody.